Sorry. So now I can hear what I'm saying? Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. I'm muffled anyway, right? Last year, and I think I'm sure some of you at least are familiar with this, right? We had 37 avalanche fatalities, okay, the most in the modern era since probably around the turn of the century. It's the American Institute for Avalanche Research and Education reports a 65% increase in recreational enrollment over the past year. So a lot more people taking avalanche classes. Had a really high, a large number of fatalities over the past season. Maybe the rate's lower than it's been historically. We don't know because we don't know how many people are out there. We just know that it's a lot, and we know that we had a lot of avalanche fatalities. Okay, one of these fatalities was in Utah, in Wilson Glade. Okay, this is a canyon just to the east of Salt Lake City, where they really have some major crowding problems. This was February 6th of last year. The avalanche was triggered in a skin track that caught and buried most of the group, but it also buried a group below. 7 people were involved. There were 6 burials and 4 fatalities. So I checked the trail counter data from the Wasatch Backcountry Alliance, and they showed 1,508 people in these 3 canyons, okay, Little Cottonwood, Big Cottonwood, and Mill Creek, all just to the west, or to the east, sorry, of Salt Lake on that day. So, 1,508 people, maybe not a lot compared to, Mammoth Mountain, which can have up to 15,000, 20,000 people on a big day. Of course, but these are backcountry skiers, right? They're not in a ski area. And it's enough to have people skiing on top of each other. That's a big problem. So what can we do about it? Is this all bad? Is this a tragedy of the commons? Well, ski gear's gotten a lot better. This is Lou Dawson's collection of backcountry touring bindings. What do you do with these things? Well, one thing you do is mount them on these. He even has a nice on this wildsnow.com website tutorial showing you how you can build these things and mount them on the wall. Right, the gear's gotten a lot better, and that's great. I mean, in terms of weight, performance, all of that. Anyone? I'm just curious if anyone skied on a Raymer binding here. Oh yeah, there we go, Alan. Okay, that's awesome.
I see those in the lower right.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, so what can we do about it? Well, this is for fire, right? But the heavy-handed approach is close the backcountry. That's not really a long-term or tenable solution, but it has happened the last 2 years, right, for the California forests. I don't think that was too popular of a decision, although maybe everyone understands why it happened. Here's a place that's near and dear to Chris's heart, right? Silverton, Colorado. Well, they just said locals only in March and April of 2020. That might not even be legal, but crazy times, right? So that's another option, but maybe not so realistic. Reservation systems. I'm a big fan of the reservation system. It's a bit of a pain, but for example, the climbing in Tuolumne Meadows is so much different than it was pre-reservation system in terms of just being able to go out and climb and not wait in line or have a full parking area. And it's $2 if you have a pass, an annual pass, right? So really pretty affordable. Just adds that little bit of an extra step to help with crowding. One thing the Wasatch Backcountry Alliance wants to do is put their trail counter data out in real time. Okay, they want to put little cell modems on these trail counters because the way that a typical trail counter arrives is it just sort of collects the data on a little card and you go retrieve the card. Well, maybe we need to be putting that data out in real time so that people can have it just like a traffic map on Google or something like that, know what trailheads are busy, and then change their behavior accordingly, you know, whether that's going at a different time, going to a different trailhead, whatever. Shuttle bus systems. This is Zion National Park, has a great shuttle bus system. In fact, I just read that the very popular Angel's Landing hike now has a reservation system, much like you know, the cable route on Halfdome does. And you know, it's nice to be able to drive your car right up to you know, wherever you want to go climbing or hiking, but a good shuttle bus system can really help with that congestion. We see it at Res Meadow, for example, also, and what that's done for the area. This is the Camp Like a Pro app, right? Part of the Eastern Sierra Sustainable Recreation Partnership, ESSRP. You know, the land ownership around here is pretty confusing. And there's a lot of people with Sprinter vans, and they don't know where they can camp or where they can't. And, you know, so this will tell you, well, here's where you are, here's the land ownership, here's where you can camp dispersed, you know, legally. Here's, you know, you can't just camp out in the middle of town or, you know, wherever. So part of it's education, right? But then we also need hotlines and ways to report illegal activity. This is an interesting project, $500 million proposal. A lot of it's contentious, but to put a gondola all the way up Little Cottonwood Canyon, okay, which is very congested. They have big problems. Take 40 minutes, go from you know, sandy, basically, Utah, all the way up to Alta. And you know, this is one of the mountain managers at Snowbird Ski Resort said, you know, when they're considering options like shuttle buses and things like that, you know, people aren't going to come into town and take their in-laws on a shuttle bus up the canyon, but they would take them on this. So, you know, the upfront cost is huge, but maybe not when you compare it to widening the road, avalanche closure time, things like that. This is gondolaworks.com if you're interested. They have a pretty good outreach campaign. You know, this is probably controversial, but maybe we need to be building more trails, more trailhead parking, and gas, maybe more roads to access some of these places. You know, as I said, for instance, in Yosemite, we're dealing with infrastructure 100 years ago to accommodate 60,000 people. You know, we have over 5 million in that park. This is video from visitmammoth.com, to borrow the words of one of the ambassadors from the Wasatch Backcountry Alliance. Maybe we need to stop the rapacious marketing of our public lands. You know, this sort of experience and you know, what you see on Instagram is often very different from reality. I think we saw a little bit of that over Thanksgiving weekend, right? And you know, this is more of that, right? This is from the National Park Service at Glacier National Park, with I think a good video talking about how your expectations need to be realistic. Okay, I don't know. I imagine some of you have visited Glacier. It's pretty busy in summertime. Also has a shuttle bus system. And it's a long line just to get on the shuttle bus. Okay, so some things they need to fix there, I think. But you know, I think these expectations need to be defined well ahead of time, and you need to be realistic about that. And, you know, so this is all I have. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are on all of this. If anyone wants to put themselves out there, and I'm sure you all have thoughts about this. So.
Yeah, and then I would throw out limiting ticket sales at the ski area.
Yep. So some ski areas do that. Mammoth doesn't. That's although I would say, in my experience, most do not. But I don't know. Does anyone else have any information to the contrary, especially like in the area in Tahoe? I don't think any of the California resorts. But do any of the California resorts limit ticket sales? I don't think so. But yeah, I think that's a good idea, you know. Anyone else? Backcountry the same as, you know, it was 5, 10, 15 years ago? Seen anything crazy out there? There's supposed to be. So I emailed Joel Rafi about this and never got back to me, frankly. But yeah, I think that's key. Like, you can't talk about increases if you don't know what your baseline is. And before you even talk about increases, right, you need to know that baseline and just how many people are out there. I mean, is that a reasonable number of people to be in the backcountry? You know, it doesn't take that many people to really clog up a trail. So, I mean, what do you all think? Do you think we need more trails? Do you think we need more access? Do you think we just need to better regulate what we do have? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, you don't need to raise your
I
hand.
have noticed that, I mean, you're talking, this can be summer recreation too, I mean, but I've noticed that there used to be more trails in Seattle when there was far less usage, right? I mean, there's old trails that are kind of abandoned. Well, and that's, and like all the work gets focused on the, you know, the MTC. A couple things I have thought is that in some ways I like how it was abandoned trails, but separating out the horse trails from the people trails, and probably more people trails would help, although people seem to focus their interest on the PCT and the JFT, which has its good side, but it keeps all the other trails.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's basically insoluble because the human population is gotten big.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's a good point about the old trails.
It's like almost triple the time.
Yeah.
So I don't, what do you do about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing is you have to acknowledge that there are going to be some trade-offs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It can't be the same as, you know, when you got there, especially the older you get. Right? And so what do we do, right? I mean, yeah, maintaining, there's certainly a lot of old mining roads that are sort of used, maybe not, that are kind of a mess around here. Do we, you know, open up vehicle and then trail access off of those? Do we, you know, yeah, in terms of old trails, do we, who pays for it, right? And I mean, trails are hard to maintain. I mean, Chris, what do you think? Like, it's not so easy to, there's a reason why those trails are out of repair, right?